Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Dex podcast. Today I'm accompanied by Mr. Levi Tibbetts from Tibbetts Construction, but also known as, and the way I know you from, is TC Dex from social media. And before we even get into it, Levi, or I do your introduction, the reason you're here today is because there's a certain person, like when you have a lot of people that follow you on any social media format, there's certain people that stand out. People that are always positive, that don't rain on your parade, or, you know, I could say other things, but it'd be edited out anyway. So, but just things in a positive manner. You might have a question, but you participate, and you are a great supporter of our Instagram page and our podcast and all that. So I just thought, hey, I want to get you on and get to know you a little bit better and just say thank you. So thank you for being here. Levi, why don't you give me a little bit of information about you and what you do?
Dude, Jason, those are some kind words, man. I really appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you. And, I know I don't have a huge social media following. I'm okay with that. Sometimes I'm glad I don't, because I don't think I could take the trolls. But I've been a huge fan, admirer of yours. You've helped me from the beginning and been following along. And your podcast is awesome, man. Like, I know this is about me. I've listened to enough podcasts to know, but I just want to say I've enjoyed listening to it. You guys are doing an awesome job. It's been fun seeing you, your interview abilities increase as you go further along. The more guys you interview, the better it sounds. So, and then
I'm
Calvin.
with that. Hey, man. Yeah.
Calvin's doing an awesome job too. He's the Jamie of your podcast if you're a Joe Rogan fan. So
I guess he's doing what I do pretty much.
Okay, well, we'll take some Joe Rogan credibility, man. I've actually listened. I'm going to be brutally, completely honest here.
Please.
The reason we do the podcast originally was because Calvin came to me and said, "Dad, we need to do a podcast." I'm like, okay. And the reason it's continuing is not only because of Calvin, but also because I've owned it. And I found myself going to trade shows and talking about it, and people were excited about it. And it may not show in the physical numbers of how many people have listened to our podcast or whatever, but when I talk to people like you or other people that have listened to the podcast, it becomes clear to me that maybe we do have something here that this is important, and the people that actually do care, they want us to continue. So for the for the foreseeable future, that's going to continue to be a thing. And so, but the thing I was thinking about is, like, the first couple months of my podcast, I was trying to get as many heavy hitters as I could on the channel, just to, whatever, like, star power, let's get more people in. But now I really want to get to know people that are like-minded. This is a deck building podcast. Okay. I mean, there's no bones about it, even though like 3/4 of this podcast is more about getting to know the person. In the end, it's still construction related, but it's cool to hear the backstory on everybody. And if you've listened, then you know this. Like, I go deep, man. I want to know, what your worst vegetable was when you're growing up, things like that. I just, wherever your answers will dictate where this session goes. Right.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, man, okay, so absolutely, that's what it's all about. So just tell me a little bit about you. Don't go deep, but let me know a little bit about you, and we'll just start from there.
Perfect. Yeah. So right off the bat, Tibbetts Construction is my contractor's license, but TC Dex is it's a DBA that we created when we created the deck company. I'm a licensed general contractor. I've done houses, done framing, that type of thing, but and I'll get into this more, but about 5-6 years ago, I started doing solely decks, jumped into the Instagram world, and now everybody by their Instagram handle instead of their real name. So, but anyway.
It really rung with me when I saw your T-shirt.
Oh, yeah, and my hat probably too.
There it is.
I love sporting
Yes,
my own
sir.
swag. I
Yep.
love sporting other people's swag, but I like to represent, what we do. So, but
I get it.
so yeah, I'm out of Salt Lake City. Well, a suburb south of Salt Lake. I was born in a town called Orem, so we're about 45 minutes south of Salt Lake in Utah County. Born, raised there. I'm not too far from there now. And then, three sisters, very conservative family, very normal upbringing, great parents, good family. Now married to an awesome wife and have 4 really awesome kids. So that's where I'm at now.
Wow, 4 kids, keeping you busy.
Oh, yeah. They're teenagers, too. So.
Oh, my goodness. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Boy,
yeah.
never a dull moment in the Levi family. So okay. All right, you've given us a good base. So you said you're about 45 miles. You grew up 45 miles from where you are now, approximately.
About 30 miles. Yeah, we're 45 miles south of Salt
30
Lake.
miles.
Yeah, but it's a suburb. It's called Saratoga Springs is where we're at now. So we're kind of divided in Utah Valley by this big giant lake called Utah Lake, and there's all these towns that surround this big giant lake. So. Where I'm at now, we actually used to go out rabbit hunting a lot when I was a kid. There was nothing out there, and now we've grown to well over 100,000 people. So growing like a weed where it's at, which is great for me, in my business. So.
Yeah, good for you. So as a kid hunting, how old were you when you shot your first gun?
So that's kind of my upbringing is, we were raised just outdoorsy, very outdoorsy. Our family vacations consisted of going on these week-long deep country camping trips. We'd spend the entire week just fishing and doing a little hunting and stuff here and there. So I was introduced to rifles and guns and stuff when I was really young, probably under 10 years old. I was shooting 22s and shooting at rabbits and stuff. So. My dad was, he was an avid hunter, but, once we kind of grew up a little bit, he kind of got out of it. And so I didn't really pursue it until later on in life. And I'll get into that a little bit more. But, we always loved the outdoors, everything outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping. Our Utah snow, you've got to be a skier or snowboarder. So I started off skiing quite a bit, throughout high school. And then, about into my 20s, I picked up snowboarding and became that, snowboarding is what we call them.
I used to be a hot dogger, man.
Yeah?
Not a lot of people know that,
No.
but yeah, I used to rip on a set of sticks, man. I was not a bad skier when I was younger.
Snow skiing,
but all
right?
that came to an abrupt.
You said you've done a lot of water skiing.
Yeah, well, both.
Like.
Oh yeah, a lot of, and the water sports I'm still into. The snow sports, a little more abusive on the body because I don't know how to just take it easy. You know, if I'm gonna go skiing, I'm gonna try to still do helicopters and back scratchers and iron cross and anything else I can pull out of my hat, and that's how you screw up your knees and feet and all that stuff. So I've just decided that, and it's a couple hour drive for us to get to a mountain. From Tacoma. So I just decided, well, at least to get to the good ones. So I just decided, you know what? I think I'm going to bypass on the snow sports and just kind of stick with. Actually, I haven't done either lately. I've just been working, but anyway. So your education as you're growing up. So now Utah. So that's Mormon country. You guys. I mean, we won't talk about religion, but it's just part of your backstory. Are you guys Mormon?
Yeah. In fact, I'll get into that too. I listened to the podcast with Mike Young, and he talked a lot about it too. It was really interesting hearing it. I've known Mike for years on Instagram, but have never had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him. I had no idea he was from Utah, so it was really cool listening to his podcast. And that's another reason, why I've really appreciated listening to your podcast is kind of getting to know. I mean, you've had on so many friends of mine, Blake with California, and then Fraser and Barney, all those guys, just John Lee, just really good friends of mine. And and
Yeah,
not a lot of
I
opportunities.
know, man. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, and it's awesome because I don't have a lot of, we go to the trade shows and have, you and I have talked a bit here and there in passing and stuff, but we never really have a chance to sit down and really get to know each other too much. So it's an awesome way to learn about people. So, but yeah, I was raised,
I agree.
Raised Mormon, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you cut me off. I don't cut you off.
Okay. So I was raised Mormon, still am, still very active and stuff. And I'll like I said, I'll talk a little bit more about that. But it's more, it's a religion, of course. It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or we just call it LDS. But it's almost more of a culture, right? It's this culture that we have in Utah that'll, even though there's, it's probably about half the population and stuff, it's still more of a culture that we adhere to a lot here. So it's a little different, probably weird to outside people, and I get it, but I like it. So,
well, my wife watches The Housewives, and so I get my education from tagging along with her, watching some of these crazy women.
That's not a good representation.
But, no, I know it is not. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've had other friends that are Mormon as well, and in the end, you might have your beliefs, I might have my beliefs, but as long as we treat each other with dignity and respect, it really doesn't matter. You're not pushing your agenda on me. You're just being a human being and believing what you believe in. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, the world needs more of that, just some structure. Anyway, okay, so as you're growing up, you're in this Mormon family. You guys are doing your hunting and all that stuff. And what kind of a school did you go to?
Very conservative school, just standard public school, nothing crazy. But, I had a lot of really good friends that I still, I actually lived down the street from one of my best friends from grade school. So, and it's not like it's a small town. It's just we stayed friends. It's just coincidence, I guess. But, and, I tried all the sports. I tried football, tried baseball, tried soccer, all these things, and I sucked at all of them. So I stuck with baseball. I really enjoy playing baseball, even now, but I was never really good at it. I was a good hitter, I think, but of course I would always fumble in the outfields and stuff. So, but yeah, I loved baseball. I never really watched it or followed it growing up, until my later years, probably I was actually kind of a funny story during the Derek Jeter years. I became a huge Yankees fan, but when I was young, I was gifted a Yankees hat, and so I always felt like I was a Yankees fan because of that. And I kind of pursued that, and then just recently, within the last 15, 20 years or something, kind of became an avid Yankees fan. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but
they'll get over it.
But,
we all have our teams.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so I was able to cross off a bucket list item this last year. Me and my son actually went over to New York and were able to see a Yankees and Blue Jays game out there. So it was really cool. But
good on you, man.
Yeah.
It's always fun to go do those things that you aspire to, that resonate with you, man.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So were you into academics then in school? You did the sports, you tried sports, wasn't for you. You dug the baseball. But how'd you do, like, studies wise?
So as bad as I was at sports, I was probably 20 times worse at academics. I sucked at school, man. I barely went by I graduated by the skin of my teeth with probably a 2.5 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. And
okay.
I attributed
were you
a lot.
Any hobbies?
Yeah, well, between baseball, outdoors, and then, I'll get into this a little bit more too, but my dad was kind of a contractor growing up, and so I was introduced into construction fairly early as well. So, between those things, not a lot of other interests, not a lot of other hobbies, but we did have, I don't know if you know this about Mormons as well, but we were heavily into the Boy Scouts. Like the Mormon Church was actually a big contributor to the Boy Scouts of America. Man. And just recently, it seems like we kind of parted ways with it. We don't pursue it as much anymore. But I was not big into Scouts. Like, I didn't really pursue the merit badges as much. I just really enjoyed it, because it was a part of being in the outdoors. So, we were really tight with the guys around our neighborhood and stuff, and we'd always go on these fun adventures doing that kind of stuff with the Scouts. So yeah, that was kind of my hobbies and stuff growing up. So.
Right on. Yeah, man. I think I was in the Weeblos for a little bit, but I never made it into the Scouts really. Cause again, I got into sports and that kind of thing in junior high and that kind of things as well. But cool. So, okay. So you make it through, you barely graduate, but you made it. What's after high school?
So this is kind of where I dive into the Mormon aspect of it a little bit, is where, so kind of part of the culture, and I think Mike talked about this a little bit too, is you're not expected, you're kind of encouraged to go on what we call a mission, an LDS mission. So right out of high school, now it's 18, it used to be 19, mostly the boys would sign up to go on a mission. So what that entails is you basically go to your ecclesiastical leader and say, hey, I want to go on this mission. In this mission, you're actually paying for it all yourself. And it's a 2-year mission where you can get sent anywhere in the world. So it's kind of a cool thing. I think there's like 400 missions around the world or something in 170, 180 different countries all over the world. And you don't choose where you go. The church leaders basically put you where you're supposed to go. And so I decided to do this. I'd been saving up since high school, and decided I wanted to go on a mission as well. So I put in my papers and was called to Brazil, to a place called Belo Horizonte. So it's kind of the center of Brazil, just north of São Paulo.
Interessante.
Yep. Oh, você fala
Calvin
português.
married an authentic Brazilian.
Pouco. Não muito bem. Muito bem.
Eu também. Eu esqueci como falar todo. So I don't speak it very,
now things are getting
well.
real interesting.
I speak what
really
you call Porto Espanol now. So
my wife is from a city that's 4 hours from Belo Horizonte.
Oh, really? What city?
So it's called Santo Antonio do Itambe.
Oh, okay, I'm not familiar with it. But is it in Minas Gerais?
Yeah, it's same state. It's out there in the countryside.
Oh, wow, how cool.
Plucked her from that small town of it's probably like 3,000 or less people there or something like that.
Oh, wow. Small. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. How ironic, huh?
Yeah,
that is ironic.
The internet's a powerful tool, man.
So I know Belo Horizonte pretty well.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
He's been there several times.
Oh, how cool, man. I haven't been back since I left, and that was 25 years ago. So I'd love to go back and visit. Too many other places I have to see first, though.
Well, we'll talk about, okay, so finish up with this mission so you end up going to Brazil.
Yeah, so what they do is
how long were you in Brazil for?
So it's a 2-year thing. So you spend 2 months, right out the bat, they send you 2 months to what we call the Missionary Training Center. So there's one here locally near me in Provo, Utah. And there you just go you're basically learning the language and then kind of learning how to teach and how to interact with people and kind of a lot about the gospel and stuff too. So I did 1 month here locally in Utah, and then they sent me to São Paulo in Brazil for another month. So you kind of get a more immersive, in-depth into the language and kind of learning a little bit more. And then after that, they boot you out into the field and have you go at it. So, with missionaries, you're with a companion all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you're around someone. your companion this whole time. So you kind of have to learn, a lot of great experiences from this, but one of them was to kind of learn patience, I think, because you're with this person whether you like them or not, and I had some difficult companions I was with. Most of them were just awesome guys, guys that I'm still friends with to this day, but every once in a while you'd get someone that was really difficult to be around. So, and you're with them for, maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks up to about, 2, 3, 4 months even. So just kind of depending on where you're getting bounced around. So when they first put you in, so when I first got out there, I hardly spoke anything. You've got 2 months of language training. But luckily, your companion, you have a senior companion and then a junior companion. So the senior companion knew, really well what to do, how to speak the language, kind of guided you and taught you pretty much, how to navigate. So anyways, I spent 2 years doing that, and it's pretty strict. Like I said, you're paying for the whole thing yourself. So you're learning how to balance your finances, of course, and then I don't want to say restrictive, but there's things that are discouraged. Like, you're not going to movies, you're not watching TV, you're not, going out to hang out. It's pretty much just, going out and knocking on doors all day long or whatever, trying to talk to people, trying to teach them. And it was mostly service, actually, is what we did. We'd go around and try and find things to do, things to help people with. I did a lot of moving. Calvin might know this, but they have what's called bachelor lodging, where you're basically putting the roofs on these houses that they have out there. So we did a lot of that roofing out there. I got to be pretty good at it. So, and again, that, had a lot to do with my construction, my background in construction, I think helped out with that as well. So, but really, really cool experience, man. It was, you probably see the missionaries all over, I mean, we've got tons out there in Washington, I know, but the Mormons with the white shirts, ties, and the little tags. So if you ever see them, be real nice to them.
And the bicycle.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're making a huge sacrifice. They're away from their families and just trying to serve people, I think mostly is what it is. So.
Oh, is that 7 days a week you're doing that?
Yeah. Well, so ours was Monday. I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but Monday you'd have what was called a P day, and I'm not exactly sure what that stands for, but basically a day off to do, laundry, get caught up, go shopping, but we'd use that time also to kind of explore. Like we went on a lot of hikes when I was out there. We went to, there's a lot of really cool towns nearby. You have to stay kind of within your area. But we were able to go sightseeing quite a bit. So we went to a mining town called Oro Preto. Just really cool old town. A lot of precious stones and that type of thing. So we still got to do some exploring while we were out there.
Where was the town?
It's called Oro Preto. I can't remember exactly where it's at. Have you heard of that? Yeah. Black gold, I think it is. Anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really cool place. So, I can't remember. I know we went to some other places. I know we did a lot of sightseeing, but like I said, it's been 25 years, so I kind of forgot a lot about it. It's kind of cool to reminisce and remember a lot. So.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, it's interesting that I've really never talked to anybody that's been on a mission before. So that's pretty cool that you put in that time. It made you grow up a lot, I bet.
Yeah, like I said, I got a lot of really good experiences out of it. A lot of, I guess, not just religious experiences and kind of spiritual experiences, but a lot of life lessons. I told you that a lot of it was service, and that's kind of been what I've tried to kind of live my life around, is serving people around me. I try to be the first thing there to help people move or to do what I can. Right now I don't want to pat myself on the back, and I hate kind of bragging about this, but we're part of the Home Builders Association here locally, and right now we're doing it's called the Subcontractors for Santa, where you just kind of go around to people in need, and do construction services basically. So I'm actually going tomorrow with my son to build
Nice.
a wheelchair ramp for a person in need. So so that kind of steered
Good
my
for
life,
you. Man, that's
learning
awesome.
to do that. Yeah. But yeah, just a lot of other really cool lessons that I've learned from it. And, I think it helped me to be a better husband, a better dad. I hope. Don't ask my kids, but I'm hoping that's what.
Okay, well, for anybody out there that's listening that is considering going on a mission, is this something that you wholeheartedly embrace, or is it something that do you feel like is it for everybody, or is it you should definitely take the opportunity, or do you have any advice for anybody out there?
Oh man, I mean, given the opportunity, I think I was listening to you talk about Chris Breen, or your interview with Chris Breen, and he kind of did something similar as well with his whole family. So within our church, it was structured. It's structured to where it's right out of high school. So boys and girls can both do it. They even have senior missionaries. So if you're old, retired, have nothing to do, your kids are moved away, you can go serve a mission as well. Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, it's a good, awesome experience. I would recommend it.
All right, right on. So, okay, you spent 2 years in Brazil. You finish up with your mission, and how does that work? Like, okay, you've been here 2 years, get out, or is it something you decide that you're ready to come back, or do they tell you, hey, you're done, come back? How's that work?
Strict 2 years. Not strict, but it's 2 years exactly. So I left mid-April, I think, came back. I mean, I stayed probably a week longer than 2 years. But yeah, you just know. I mean, a lot of us get to the point where we're counting down the days, because it is, you miss your family. It's hard. It's a difficult thing, and
Of course.
you love doing it. You love being there, but you're excited to get home. So a lot of us are counting down the days, but it is get home and figure your life out. So that's a lot of what
There you go.
helped you figure it out. So
Cool. So what did Levi decide once you got back, when you went back to Utah, right?
yeah. So growing up, I'd mentioned that I was pretty immersed in the construction industry. My grandpa was a contractor. That's actually where I got my uncreative name from, Tibbetts Construction. So he actually owned the name before I did. He was a general contractor. He specialized in custom homes, just built them from the ground up, like they used to do back in the old days. And that's kind of where my dad got into his construction experience too, is from my grandpa. So my dad growing up, he tried his hand with being self-employed. I don't know for how long, and I don't know to what degree, but the stories that he tells now, he didn't like the self-employed aspect, mainly chasing payment. I think he felt like he was working with a lot of dishonest people, felt like he was always chasing his paycheck. So eventually, as I got older, he kind of got more into the retail side of the construction industry. Worked with a lot of big national contractor sales and that type of thing. And later on in life, he actually he joined up with the Habitat for Humanity and became the contractor in charge of our local area. He did that for a number of years and just recently retired. So, everything I've learned from my dad. I've grew up doing decks with him. Some of my best experiences that I remember were going out as a kid and, helping him build these probably rotted out redwood decks now. I should go put my flyer on the doors where we did them. Excuse me. But, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it started. When I was about 14, we built our own house, my family's house that they lived in for over 30 years. We built that house from the ground up, and I was out there every day with my dad and him kind of teaching me. I remember framing it and flooring. We even did some electrical, that type of thing. But I found kind of a real draw to the framing industry side of it. To the point where I actually had a neighbor. How old was I? This was 95, so I was probably 15. I had a neighbor that started a framing company, just a small framing company, and he kind of asked me about it. He knew that I'd been helping my dad. So he brought it up to me, and so I actually went out and worked for him that summer framing, mostly just packing lumber, packing 2x4s and plywood and that type of thing. And I stuck with it. It was kind of funny during the school year. I'd go after school and go work and stuff, but I was making
cool.
It's probably like $12 an hour or something at that point, and I thought I was the richest kid in the school. All my friends.
Man, you're making a pretty good wage for junior high and high school or high school.
Yeah,
you're killing it.
Oh yeah. All my other
your friends
are
are
working.
Like, man, I wish I had a job like that.
Yeah, call centers for like
I had
minimum
a friend
wage.
in high school, right out, right, McDonald's or something like that. But I had a friend, and I don't know how he did it, but he right out of high school, we're all looking for work. He got a job painting the Narrows Bridge. He was the youngest guy on this crew, but he was making like 40-some prevailing wage back then. This is like in the late 80s, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe how well he was doing that. But I could imagine like that's for your age to make $12 an hour back then, man. That's like you're on top of the world.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the work too. I mean, I was out there in the winters and it was difficult, but I really enjoyed framing, basically learning how to do it. So I ended up sticking with it, and I always it was mostly woodworking is what I did. Right? Like in junior high, I remember taking a wood shop class and we did this nightstand. It was like a really cool nightstand. My sister actually still has the nightstand, I believe, but finish wood projects, furniture, that type of thing, really enjoyed. So anyways, I stuck working with my neighbor. Shout out to Scott. He was a big influence on me growing up too. He owns a company called Acadian Builders. They started out as this little company and grew to, they're a huge company now, got multiple. Sorry, I need to get a drink. I'm starting to lose my voice. Okay, so high school, I took a construction class where it's like the first 2 periods of every day, you just go and build a house from the ground up. And by that time, I'd already had a ton of experience, framing at that point. And so I was kind of more like a teacher's aide, but I had 2 instructors in that class that I'm still friends with to this day, that were a big influence on me. Brett and Eric, shout out to them. They actually kind of encouraged me to pursue construction as well. But we entered I don't know, do you ever remember the VICA competitions? It's like Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. I don't know how it was really cool. They had different categories, but I entered the construction or the framing category of it, and I got pretty far in it. I think I won state and then went on to like regional and then took like 2nd or 3rd place in regionals. But really cool experience as well. So anyways, this big passion for construction, a lot of experience in it. So when I get home, I decided to pursue a degree in construction management. I thought I wanted to, be a project manager for a big construction company or something. So I signed up, enrolled in. Back then, it was a state university. Now it's actually Utah Valley University. It's tragically where Charlie Kirk got shot. So pursued classes, and I told you I was terrible with school, with academics. Well, that went on through college as well. Terrible. I breezed through the construction classes just fine, but they make you take the general credits, and that's where I kind of lost everything. So I went to, I think, 2 or 3 semesters of it and just barely passed, same thing. And so by the 4th semester, I'm like, I'm just going to take this time off, and ended up getting an apartment with some friends of mine. And that's where I met my wife. So by this time, I'm probably 22 or 23. And she kind of encouraged me to go back to school. She wanted me to finish my degree. So I went back begrudgingly, and we got married, and she found out how bad I sucked at school. My final semester, I got put on academic probation and got kicked out. So I never went back. I decided, I was actually those 2 instructors, my high school instructors I told you about, they were professors of mine there as well. So they encouraged me to get my contractor's license. Told me that I'd had enough experience under my current boss, and encouraged me to do that. So I did that. That was 2005. Got my general contractor's license, and fired up my first framing crew. So really cool experience.
Cool. Yeah, that would be pretty young, and got a team with you working, framing up some houses. Is it spec houses, customs, or what?
A lot of track homes. We were doing stuff for a lot of, kind of national builders and kind of smallers to start off. I had about, I think, 5 or 6 guys. I had my cousin, a brother-in-law, brother-in-law's brother-in-law. Kind of something that I learned from that is it's never a great idea to hire family. All those
right.
Those guys just didn't work out, and it kind of, left bad taste in my mouth. So I kind of learned that after that point to not really hire family. So anyway, so 2005, I don't know how it was there, but it was awesome here. Just high demand. Everybody was looking for a framer. So I was, pretty much naming my price at that point. And I'm still young. I'm 25 years old, making money hands over fist. So we built our first home, and we're doing really well. And by that time, we were pregnant with our first daughter, our oldest. She's 20 now. And that went on to about, and then it was the winter of 2007. So one of the worst days of my life, one of the worst times that I remember was that winter. So we were so used to just, having work handed to us, making this money, all this money, doing really, really well. I had a big truck. We had a brand new car. By this time, we were on our second home. It was a big house, 8,000 square feet.
Wow.
And people that lived that experience, people that remember that time of year, it was a hard time. It was dark days. So especially for someone in my position.
Yeah, you're successful and you're rolling in it, and then it just gets cut off.
Yeah. So we were out
2008 for us. Yeah, about 2008 was a rough patch.
Yeah, it was really difficult. We were going out just looking for work and not finding everything. Things were starting to crumble. We were losing our vehicles, got equipment taken away. Had to fire out or lay off all of our employees. Really, really hard times. So by 2008, we kind of did everything we could to stay busy. At this point, I'm doing basements or framing sheds or doing whatever I can to stay busy, just myself. I didn't have any employees at this point. So by about, I think it was late 2008, we found out we were pregnant again. Not for lack of trying, but we were pregnant with twins. So
wow.
That's 3 kids, 3 young kids, all in diapers and stuff, and we're struggling, barely holding by. And my awesome wife, super supportive, doing everything she can to help, doing everything she can to support and take care of our kids and stuff. So we battled through this for I mean, it felt like a century, but, probably 4 or 5 years of just struggle, just constant sleep deprivation, worry, stresses, and that type of thing. I got a funny story. I was actually, not sleeping very well, and so I got prescribed some Ambien. You hear about kind of funny experiences on that, and I had an Ambien that night, and I did weird things on it. So I'd surf the web a lot. So I'd wake up the next morning and be subscribed to all these weird things, have all these spam emails. And I told my wife about an idea that I kind of found, but we did this mobile photo booth. I don't remember if you remember those, but a lot of people were doing like weddings and these special occasions. Yeah. So we had this whole business plan planned out. I woke up the next morning and didn't remember a thing. Like, she told me about this, was super excited. And I'm like, what are you talking? I didn't remember anything about it. So,
oh man, take another Ambien so you can write it down, man.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So we actually pursued it. This was 2009, 2010. So I built, we figured it out. We built this photo booth. We'd started doing weddings. It was kind of a difficult thing to start, but this photo booth idea actually got us through the recession. By that time I was working, doing some stuff with a friend of mine who was a framer as well, but we were doing the photo booth as well. So, it worked out. We got through it. And, a little bit later on, we had my youngest. I was 2010. So Finn, he's my youngest. He's my only son. And then, so yeah, now we have 4 young kids under the age of 5. But by this time we were starting to do a little bit better. So, anyway, so nice. I ended up firing up the old framing crew again, got some guys back together, and started framing again. The economy was kind of coming back, and we were staying busy. Sorry, I'm rambling. Just stop me whenever.
All right. No, keep going.
All right. So, 2000, early 2010s, I think. So we were back to framing again. Kind of felt like we were recovering from the recession. I started to kind of, I learned a lot of valuable lessons from that recession. I think that was, if anything good came out of it, I learned to live a lot more conservatively. I learned never to burn bridges. I learned a lot of it was financial learning, right? Just don't live beyond your means type of thing. So in doing that, we kind of moved forward a little bit slower. My wife has always ran the books for me. She's done a good job at that, but I've always had this, work ethic to get out there and work hard and do it a lot. And I've always taken the approach of, I work hard and everybody else, kind of works behind me. So I took on a lot. I started to get a little jaded with employees by that point. I had some really good guys, but I started to realize there were a lot of guys that were kind of taking advantage at that point too. So we'd grown from about, in about probably 7, 8 years or something, we'd grown from about 5, 6 employees to, we got up to one point about 50 employees. So I had multiple crews. We had probably 3, 4 crews, 5 crews maybe. We had tons of equipment and stuff. And it was weird because, I was bringing in, the revenues were in the millions. We were probably bringing in 5 to 10 million a year or something. But we weren't making much more than when I had 6 guys. And in hindsight, it's like, why am I working myself to death for this? And then my stress levels were just outrageous.
Through the roof.
Yeah. My workers' comp, I had a guy go to workers' comp like every single day, it felt like. So my workers' comp rates were probably about 25% at that point. And then, equipment failing, just constantly. So it was, it was really cool learning from that, like, living through that experience. But I look back on it now and I'm like, why did I do that for so long? Why would I put myself through that? So what was that? Probably it was 2019, right? By this time, so going back a little bit too, I'd mentioned we were kind of doing a little bit better. So we built another home, we bought a track home and fixed it up and then sold it for a really good profit. And at that point we decided we were going to build another house, but this house we were going to see if we could sell it and make a profit off of it. So we were renting a home, and while we did that, we built this house and sold it, for a really good profit. And we're like, well, let's just keep doing that. So for about 5-6 years, we were just building spec homes, one or two, probably two a year at that point. And this is when rates were really low, late 2020s or 2000, probably 2015, something there. So we were building these spec homes and just having a ball doing it, man. My wife, she's got a really good design eye. And, I had all this experience doing these custom homes. And so we were able to make these incredible houses and just turning an awesome profit, and just had a good time doing that. So that was kind of what was keeping me sane through these, framing crews. And like I said, I did get a little jaded with employees at that point. So, I had a few experiences where these employees took advantage of me, and it just left me angry. So end of 2019, I did this deck. So on the side here and there, I would do these decks. If we framed a house and they needed someone to do the deck, I'd be like, oh, okay, we can do it. So I did this one deck on this house, which now is on the cover of the 2021 Deck Specialist magazine. Really cool deck. Has a tube slide going down it, but I look at it now and I'm kind of cringe a little bit. But so I built this deck and really enjoyed doing it. And I was like, I did it all myself, and that entire profit I made off of that deck went to help payroll. So I was so disappointed, man. Made a really good profit off of it. And so end of 2019, beginning of 2020, it's about when COVID hit, we decided, me and my wife, I was coming to a breaking point where I was either going to go postal or ballistic, or something was going to happen, get a divorce, I don't know. But it came to a breaking point, a physical breaking point. I remember the day, and I'm like, I can't keep doing this. So we were working for a contractor that wanted to, basically, he was trying to get all of his services in-house. So he actually approached me. He did big custom homes and asked me if I'd be willing to sell my framing company. Couldn't have came at a more opportune time, right? Like super fortuitous. And I jumped on the idea. Sold the framing company and invested, a bunch into deck building. So that was 2020 when everyone was freaking out about COVID, like the economy's going to crash. And I don't know if you felt it, but that was the busiest time I'd ever had. No, you didn't feel that.
Busy is right. I didn't feel the crunch. I felt the busyness of it. Yeah. Up here, we have a really strong economy where I'm at. And people were staying at home and they just wanted to start improving their own properties instead of going. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. So we might as well zhuzh up the backyard so we can feel like we're on vacation, And I was right in the middle of building like one of the most amazing decks I've ever built in my life. And I call them vanity builds or ego strokers or whatever you want to call them. But I was just doing it because this lady wanted a bad deck. And that's exactly the word she used. That's what she wanted. And I got you. It took me 7 designs. But that deck, when we were done with it, we entered it in the National NADRA deck building competition. I put it in 5 categories and took home 6 first-place trophies. I was able to put everything I had into that thing. All my energy went into it, all the abilities, everything. So the beginning of COVID, for us, I mean, we were right in the middle of a project, a long one, months of work, and I wasn't going to shut down. The client was grateful, too, because we had 6 of her 7 exits blocked on her home. Like, technically, she only had 1 fire escape because we had the rest of them blocked. So I felt obligated to continue building until, by the time we were done, though, the shelter-in-place order was over. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. Finish telling me about. So you start building decks, you get into COVID. How'd that work out for you?
Well, it was kind of similar to when I started my framing company in 2005. It was like, holy cow, you know, we were in high demand. Everybody wanted a deck, and that. Matter of fact, I remember that's where I first met you, was at NADRA Summit, and I remember following you. You know, that deck was just a huge inspiration. You know, I wanted something so bad to do like that, even though there's no way I could have handled it. But I remember watching you build that deck and being, how cool is that? Like, how cool would it be for someone to come to you and just say, I don't have a budget, but I want a back deck, you know? So, yeah, like I said, that was a huge influence. And at that point, I knew I wanted to do big custom decks. You know, we'd started off just doing, started off really small, like doing, you know, steps off of existing decks, or I need this landing or whatever, you know, whatever we could get. But it got to the point where it was like, you know, okay, we want this 12 by 12, or then, I'm still young. I'm still learning about decks. Deck industry is kind of weird, you know, for people that have been in my position as a framer. Like, framers don't give a crap about each other. You know, you're kind of cocky. You're in your own world. You know, you work with different contractors and stuff. I never had to sell anything. Everything was just kind of given to me. You know, I'd bid on projects, but ultimately it's like, as long as you're in with a good contractor, you know, it's like, here's this project. Deck building is just a completely different world. So weird. and the community, man, the community is just, it's so cool. And, you know, like I told you, that's how I kind of got introduced to you and a lot of the other guys in the industry, is through Instagram. I always hated social media, but I realized that I could learn a lot from it. And I realized that it could be a good opportunity to get business, basically, to show my portfolio. So
there you go. Portfolio. That's it. If you don't use it for anything else except that, it's a great way to keep all your stuff digitally orchestrated, organized, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, it's like a second web page. Yeah. I actually refer people to my Instagram page more than my website at this point. I have a big QR code on the side of my trailer that links it to my Instagram page, you know. But, so yeah, cool. You know, in talking about that, there's a lot of guys in my area that have been doing this for a long time, that, you know, aren't really big into social media, but I feel like this market here is maybe a little more saturated than other markets. I feel like we have way too many deck builders here. And so I kind of had I felt like I had to set myself apart as kind of more of a bigger custom deck builder, like something where it's not just, you know, hey, can you come and do this 12 by 12 or whatever. So at that point, I was kind of turning down some jobs here and there in order to get these big ones. You know, and mind you, I'm mostly solo at this point. I did have, you know, a few kids come and work for me here and there, but so I'm taking on these big, you know, fairly custom decks by myself. But I felt like I had a bit of an advantage because of my experience in framing. But a lot of it was learned along the way, you know, and a lot of it was learned with following guys like you and other guys and learning in that way. But I think I built myself
to have a fairly good reputation in this area as one of the bigger kind of well-known custom deck builders. I think. I don't know. Like I said, I don't like to pat myself on the back, but
no, just being honest, man. There ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, it's your opinion. You're entitled to it. So, keep it real. Cool. So basically, you've been building decks since 2020 or 2019.
Yep. Yeah, 2020.
Okay.
First of the year, 2020. Yep.
Okay, and so is that what your primary? That's what your primary is now. Is are you sticking with decks, or are you still taking on other framing projects or house projects or anything like that?
You know, I'd love to get back into spec homes. We kind of gave that. We slowed it down a little bit. Well, we stopped doing it completely when the interest rates went up. You know, probably what was that? 2022, something like that. 2023. So we were a little nervous to keep investing in that. We bought a property down near, I don't know if you've heard of Zion's National Park. We bought a piece of property down there and are working on building a cabin. So we're hoping to do like kind of an Airbnb on that. Yeah. I'd love to keep pursuing that. Yeah. I'd love to keep doing spec homes, you know, once the economy kind of comes back, once interest rates go down and stuff. But for the deck business, man, I love doing decks. It's funny, I told myself, you know, for 20 years I was framing, you know, and I kept telling myself I loved framing and I really enjoyed it. But once I quit, man, I realized I hated framing. Like just being out there, like setting trusses in a blizzard, 3 stories in the air, you know, you're freezing cold, you're scared out of your mind, just so many times like that. And I don't think I could ever go back to framing again. So
I don't blame you. I see Joe Canning doing it, and man, and some of these other guys, I'm just like, dude. I mean, I got myself in a few situations like that as well with really tall decks. You know, I'm 30 feet up, and I'm leaning over something and going, if I fall right now, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna die. And if you start wavering on that fact, you might as well just climb down the ladder and walk off the job site and don't come back, because you can't be like that, you know? So I get it. I understand exactly where you're at. And I could see why, there's a certain element of risk and danger when you're up on the roof. That's why you sub all that stuff out, right?
Yep. Yeah, now I do. You know, we still did a lot of the framing on our spec homes. You know, I'd pay guys cash to kind of come help me, but these are smaller, kind of easier homes. So, but
well, good.
For decks, man, I love doing decks. I enjoy the process of it, but it's so cool, you know, to take my experience in framing and integrate it with kind of a finished product. And especially all the new cool techniques that are kind of coming out, you know, folding boards. And I've never curved a board before. I would love to do a curved deck. I've tried to promote it, but people just don't want to pay for it.
Be careful, man. Be careful. It becomes a little addictive. You're trying to sell everybody a curve. For a while, I was in my career, with me and Mark King, we're having a discussion one day, and I'm like, hey, Mark, we're talking about like what kind of decks you're building and that, and he goes, man, I stopped building squares. He says, I only want to build curved decks. That's it. I was like, I feel you, and I kind of got in that zone for a while as well, but not everybody wants a circle, you know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't always lend itself to a design. So you get into it, you got the passion, you know, you've got and then once you get the ability, then it's like, well, then there's no intimidation factor at all. You got the confidence, you're just going to go in and rock it, right?
Yeah.
So that's when 2020, when I built that big deck on the lake, it's because I had all the confidence in the world, because I kind of knew already what I was doing. But there's just a lot of problem solving that comes along the way. And I think that's what I enjoy about my job still, is it just keeps my brain really active, sometimes too active. My wife says I talk in my sleep sometimes, but because I'm solving problems, man. And Levi, I got a problem, and we got to solve it. We're out of time.
Well, I've enjoyed the heck
So
talking
if you
to you,
enjoyed
man.
this keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the heck talking to you. I'm sorry about my voice, man. I drank probably I bet I drank a gallon of water. I don't know what happened. That's so
Yeah,
weird.
you did. You drank a lot of water. I'm glad you're all right though. Those things happen, but I appreciate you powering through it. It shows the kind of person you are, man, just to muscle through something like that when we could have said, you know what, let's just cancel out and we'll pick you up on another day. But this makes it a lot easier for us for production and all that stuff too, to stick it out. So Levi, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Instagram is the best way. TCDex at TCDex. I'm open to even texting me. If you want to just shoot me over a text, I'll give you my number. It's 801-472-8939. Yeah, I love hearing from people. I love messaging guys in the industry. So.
Okay. Well, Levi from TCDex, which is a very identifiable handle, really easy to remember, easy to find. Give him a shout out, send him a DM, give the guy a follow as well if you're on socials. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Levi, thanks for being on our podcast. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, guys, that's all we have for today. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Over and out.